live on ABC's KMET 1490 AM.com. Your number one spot right here for news and talk on the West Coast. I thank everyone for tuning in this morning. On the telephone line, I welcome back to the program former MLB player of the 72 American League East champions, the Detroit Tigers. I welcome back, known as Tiger Ike Blessitt. Ike, what's happening, my man?
How you doing, Brian? Welcome to be back here with you.
Absolutely. Love to have you. So, Ike, reading on your career, I have a lot of Met fans that I know listen to the program. Let's remind our audience, you were first selected by the New York Mets, right, in 67?
In 67, while I was in high school, yes.
So how did the Mets get a hold of you? How did the Mets find out about you?
Well, I went to Hamtramck High School in Detroit here, and one of the coaches was for Northern High School in the public school. We used to play them scrimmages every week, and at the time I didn't know it, he was a scout for the Mets. And then when the winter draft came up, I found out I was the number one draft for the New York Mets. In the January of 67, but in Detroit, the public school, they graduated January and June. But my school, Hamtramck, we graduated just in June. So when they drafted me in January, they lost me to the draft because I was only 16 in high school in my senior year.
Man, so were you excited at the time, if you remember well, that the Mets selected you, or were you more excited that the Tigers ended up, grabbing you?
Well, you have to look at it in my perspective two ways. Back in them days, most of your black ball players was in the National League, and the American League didn't have that many black ball players in the American League. So me and my dad, we thought about it. I had a better chance of making the big league, quickly with them in the National League. And if you remember, that's the year that the Mets went on and won the World Championship.
Right.
And I was kind of upset that I didn't go number one because I'm looking at the money wise too, Brian.
Of course.
But then the Tigers got me, my hometown. So, I was excited all again, and I got a chance to play for my home team.
So the Tigers get a hold of you. Now, so when they signed you, how did that happen? Did they come to your house? Did they offer you a contract?
Yes,
what exactly were you doing that day that the Tigers you signed that contract?
Well, my two scouts, Louis DiNanzio and Pat Deary, they came to my house to talk to my parents about me signing with the Tigers. And we sat down, we had a good conversation. But I just want to throw this right quick. The same guy who signed me 10 years later was Willie Horton that signed Willie Horton 10 years earlier. So we was on the same whip out of Detroit, So I had the same scout as Willie Horton. And we was very excited. They offered my parents, it was the Vietnam War, and I wasn't that good in high school, kind of brag and nothing, but young lady would do my homework so they could see me play on Friday. Football, basketball, baseball, and ran track. And I was all state in all four sports with Rudy Tomjanovich, John Brisker. And so me and my dad decided me not going to Vietnam. The Tiger said they would give me a little money and then plus get me in the Army Reserve so I wouldn't have to go to Vietnam. So I signed a contract with the Tigers and the service at the same day and went with the reserve for 7 years.
Huh. And you know what's interesting, Ike, is that the two teams that selected you, the Mets and the Tigers, as you know, so this was '67 that you were selected by those two teams, and then '68 the
Right.
Tigers go on and win the World Series, and then the year later the Mets go on and win the World Series. So I mean, so when in '68 when the Tigers won the World Series, you were in the minor league system.
Yes, sir. I was in Lakeland, Florida, playing for the Lakeland Tigers.
And how did that experience, like, how was that experience? Like, what was your first interaction with minor league ball? Did you find that the pitching was difficult, challenging?
Well, I'm not the type of person to brag, but I will brag. When I played each sport, I gave all out. And when I was signed with the Tigers, they asked me if I wanted to go to rookie ball or go to winter ball with the big leaguers. And I said that shouldn't be even question me. I want to go with the big leaguers. So in '67, time I got out of high school, I went down to Dunedin, Florida, and played with Jim Leland, Les Kane, Willie Horton. All of them came down there because of the sense that they lost the World Series, and they wanted them guys to go maybe 2 weeks, I think it was, of practicing, getting ready for next year. So, and I did very well with the big leaguers. I always been that type of person. I always trusted in what Ike Blessitt wanted to do, not what you wanted to do. If you tell me I couldn't do it, I did it.
And you know, Ike, that now I read a lot of I've been reading a lot of articles this week because I knew you were coming on about that '72 Tigers team. And do you feel that team should have? I mean, you know, what is your opinion? Did you feel that was a destiny team, that team had longevity to win more championships? Like they lost that '72 series to the A's.
Right, and you have to realize that Oakland didn't have Reggie Jackson, and they still beat the Tigers. You know, when I speak up on Willie Horton, Gage Brown, Jim Northrup, Mickey Stanley, and Al Kaline, people get upset with me when I tell them that I was just as good as all of them. If given the opportunity, I could have went into the starting lineup. It's like they give a ball player the chance to play these days. Back then, they didn't. And I think they went with that team too long because we had guys in the minor league like Jerry Manuel, John Young, Joe Staten, Tim Hosley, Les Kane, Marvin Lane, Art James, myself, Tom Verizon, Elliot Maddox. All of us could have been on a team like the '68 team, and we could have carried the Tigers for at least 10 years. But we was never given that opportunity. They went with the guys too long. You know, like I say, no disrespect for them, because they made the major league. They won the World Series. But when it comes to talent, we were just as good as they was. You know, if given the chance, I'd have K-Line. I said beat him out, but it's respect for K-Line, because I'm finna be a guy who started in the major league for 20 years. Willie Horton, I could have beat Willie Horton now. I could run faster than Willie. At times, I could have hit a home run like him, and I could have threw somebody out at the plate. Mickey Stanley ran the ball down. I ran the ball down just as good as Mickey Stanley. Jim Northrup. But it's not no disrespect for them guys. It's that I believe in Ike Blessitt, what Ike Blessitt could do. And if I didn't have confidence in myself, I went from the minor league to the big league. It wouldn't have been done.
And Ike, to be honest, and nothing. I'm not saying anything bad about Al Kaline, Norm Cash. I mean, they were terrific players. But in '72, let's be honest. I mean, they were aging. Kaline was I think he was in his late 30s, and Cash as well. And the same true about Willie Horton and Freehand. They were in their 30s, in their late 30s. They were aging. It was an aging squad.
Right. And if they had filtrated some of us young ball players in there, they would have won it. But them guys went from day one to the playoff, and they pooped out. Realize that. They might say they didn't, but they did. Like I say, no disrespect to these guys because they did it. But you got to leave there sometime. And the Tigers should have infiltrated some of us in there at the halfway in the season to give them, like with me, every time K-Line wanted a break in spring training, he'd tell Billy Martin to put me in for him. And I go in for K-Line, I 4 for 4, 2 doubles, single, and an inside the park home run on national TV. But K-Line was the only one that would say put Ike Blessitt in for me. Let him play. And I respect K-Line for that. Willie didn't do it. Ike Brown didn't do it. Nicky Stanley didn't do it. And Jim Northrup didn't do it. But K-Line did. And that's why I think K-Line is one hell of a guy. That's me knowing him.
Now, I know you said it here before. Now, I guess you can put the blame on the manager, Billy Martin, right? Because he had something against you. He didn't actually want to play you, right?
Right. Well,
so if you could talk briefly about that, I don't want to stay on that topic, but in case we have new listeners.
Okay, well, right quick, I didn't like Billy Martin. Billy Martin didn't like me. And the reason Billy Martin didn't like me because he asked me to take a 15-year-old girl home in Birmingham, Michigan in the late 60s. And I didn't know of this when I went to the hotel to get the girl because I knew it was a lady, and got there and she's 15. I couldn't do that. And like I said, excuse me, I'm not here to criticize him, talk about him, because the man is dead and gone, and I'm letting the man rest in peace. But people got to understand, it hurt my career. I had ball players that played up in the major league with me, tried to talk about me and say it was my fault fighting in the bar against Billy Martin. I brought 3 guys who was at the Foxfire at the time to see that me and Billy Martin was going at it because you got to have at least 3 people to back your story or you get sued. So I put the 3 guys with the sports writer after one of the ball players tried to tell him that it was me who was fighting with somebody and Billy Martin came to help me. The guys got on say, off the record, if you go public with it, blah, blah, this and all this here, I'm going to deny everything. He said, but the guy who, I'm not going to say his name, but the guy who told the newspaper it was me, they said he was a damn liar because he wasn't there at the time of the incident. And when you do favors for a manager like Billy Martin in the big league, if he get cut or whatever, he'll take you with him. That's the way the person Billy Martin was. And like I said, I'm going to say this last, I'm going to get off the subject. Oakland A's needed a power-hitting right-hand hitter. They got me from the organization, and Tim Hosley, that was with the Tigers, went there, and he told him Ike is not a troublemaker. He's a hell of a ball player. I would love to have him play in Tucson AAA. So Oakland got a hold of me. I went to Oakland. Had 2 phenomenal years with them. And Billy Martin get fired, and where he go? He signed with Oakland A's.
Jeez.
And
so you couldn't get away from the guy.
He haunted me, and he's still haunting me after 50-some years. He's still haunting me. But That's how that guy is. He was revengeful. Jim Northrup didn't like him. He was, but he managed between them white lines. The man knew what he was supposed to do. He knew his job. But outside them white lines, he was a terrible person. Terrible person.
So was he close with Willie Horton?
Oh, him and Willie was real close. Because I think Willie went to what? It was New York. When he became manager, Willie went to New York. Somewhere Willie went and was a coach. Right.
Yep, the Yankees,
one of the teams,
correct.
Because Willie tried to go play ball in the Mexican League. He went down to Laredo, Texas, which I played 10 years in. It was rough down there in Mexico. And he left the Mexican League. Okay, I don't know if it was the last. He retired after that or come back to the States or whatever. But it was rough down there, and Willie lived on the border of Laredo. He lived on the United States side and played on the Mexican side. And I knew Willie couldn't handle a little 27-mile bus ride and get off and play a ball game. You really have to have a love for the game to do that.
So Ike, now everyone knows that Martin was a drinker. I mean, anyone else on the team drank with Martin? Was Willie Horton a drinker, or you don't want to touch on that?
Willie Horton was like him, Gates, and all of them. The Gator and Norman Cass was Ace Boone Coons, man. But Willie was the type of person to go sit in the bar and drink. Yeah, he never did it. He had a couple and all that, but he wasn't go follow up and drink with people. He was by himself. Him and Gates was a different all-around person. Big shooter, what you used to call him.
Yeah, and do you remember Duke Sims, Ike?
Yes, I played. I think he was in the big league with me, Duke Sims.
Right. And, I wanted to ask you, I couldn't understand, after reading all this 1970s Tiger stuff, Billy Martin had like a love for Duke Sims. Did you find that to be true?
Well, yeah. If he had his nose up in his rear end doing everything he asked him to do, yeah. And then plus, you got to understand, he white. I hate bringing this up, but people got to understand. Back then, in them days, it was rough for a black ball player. He got to fight the element of white people that don't like you. You mess up, you're gone. They go get another one. People got to understand that. And all the people that sit outside the white line, they don't know what go on inside the line. It ain't a ball player choosing between black and white and all that. But you got to understand something. Everybody that come into this world is not prejudice. Prejudice is taught to you. No matter what it is. You might not like iced tea. You might not like oatmeal because they keep telling you that stuff ain't good for you. And when you grow up against whatever they taught you. So prejudice is something that's taught to you. You don't come in this world prejudiced. You don't know what color that person is. And a lot of people don't understand that. And the people that get angry for the way I'm talking is one of the person that probably is one of the prejudice person out there in the baseball world that don't want to see a black person make it. Cause I went through a lot. I'm gonna say this one little story. Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I just come from Hamtramck, which is white and black. We got along real good. The coaches taught us baseball, taught us respect. I'd never seen, when I went to the South, I see a colored water fountain and a white water fountain. That tripped me off. We goes into a restaurant to eat in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. They come out there and brought us our knives and fork and everything. The girl did. Then the manager come out there and he looked at us and said, "We don't serve niggas in here." So Tim Holmes and all the guys just looked. And I'm from Detroit. I looked up at it and I said, "Well, I don't eat niggas, but if they're good, bring me a bowl of them." And he got pissed off. He called Jim Campbell and told him one of the ball players did this and said that. So Jim Campbell knew who it was. It was me because I was outspoken. And he said, when I told Jim Campbell what I said to the owner, he had to laugh. When I told him I don't eat niggas, if they're that good, bring me a bowl of them. So people don't know the in-court of a baseball player, a black ball player. If you ask any black ball player what is the worst day in their minor league career back in them days, they'll tell you what it is. You know, everybody sit here, they praise Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, but you never hear them talk about Jake Wood, who is still alive. And Jake Wood was my mentor when I played Little League. I won the World Series in the Little League league with the Tigers, and I told my dad, 10 years from now, Dad, I'm gonna be like Jake Wood. 1972, I was on the championship team with the Tigers.
You were.
I finally got to meet, and I finally got to meet Jake Wood. He sat down there and talked to me. I still talk with him. He's 87 years old, wow. And he go out there every Saturday and they pick up. They call it pickup, where they go out there and play ball. Jake Wood is hitting. He hit a ball to right center field. He rounded in first base, and the coach said, third. Wanting to go all the way to third. What did Jake Wood do? He went straight across the pitcher mound to third base. And the coach said, "What are you doing, Jake? You said third. If you thought I was going to run from home to all the way to third, you're crazy." That's the kind of person he is, you know.
But Ike, we have about like 3-4 minutes left. So how's the batting cage? I know you have a batting cage business. Talk a little bit about that. How's that going?
Okay, well, I'm at the moment I am really hurting. I'm a double amputee with my both feet. I had a triple bypass. I had 2 strokes. I had stem put in and the bleed out of the suffrage. All within 6 years now, as of this year. I'm hurting. I can't work, but I built a batting cage in my backyard so I can have the little kids come to my house, and whoever didn't have money, I taught them free. I'm at a point now, my cage broke down on me, and I had to cut it all down, and it's not back up, and I'm trying to get money. I'm calling my friends and fantasy campers. If anybody can send me a dollar or whatever, I can get my cage up. It's going to be $3,500 to get it back up and running. I didn't got $2,000 already. I'm lacking $1,500, and I hate asking for it, but I'm not able to work. I can't drive a car. All the good things in life, but it still keep me going because the love of the game that I have for kids to see them get back up into the baseball from the United States. And I'm talking about all kids, black, white, green, turquoise. You know, our kids is not getting opportunity to play in the major league now. But if anybody out there, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. That's the last thing. If you can help me out, you can send me a check, Ike Blessitt. My address is 19712 England, A like an apple, NGLIN Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48234, or PayPal. And it will be really appreciated for me to continue, because tomorrow ain't promised to me. And my dream is to keep working with these kids. But I can't do it without my cage in my backyard that I built. Because I can't go to no building. I can't go to the field. They have to come to me. This is why I'm asking for help, Brian.
Yeah, and you know, you're getting a lesson from a professional ball player in Ike Blessitt, and this is, you know, it's basically like a steel cage training center, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. In my backyard.
Right, right. And you've been doing this for a couple of years. I have like a minute left. You've been doing this for a couple of years now, right, Ike?
Well, yeah, I've been about 3 years. I've been doing it. You know, till I got my right foot cut off. But it still didn't stop me from doing it. Now, 5 months ago, I had my left foot amputated. So I'm a double amputee right now. But I can't drive with the hand control. And they can come to me. And I got so many lessons independent, but I can't do it until I get my cage back up. And they'll come to me, which is easier for me. Because my sons help me get out there and help me set up and all that. So it's really beneficial to me to have my cage back up and running for the kids.
Absolutely, Ike. Listen, I really appreciate it. We'll speak soon. I'll keep in touch with you, and you know, I'll spread the word out here on my end. All right.
I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Anytime, Brian.
My pleasure.
Anytime.
My pleasure. You just heard from Ike Blessitt of the 1972 Detroit Tigers. Now, we'll have a special show tomorrow. Tune in at 8:30 a.m. West Coast time, 11:30 a.m. East Coast time. Tune in for that special live Sunday edition. Until tomorrow, happy collecting to all.